Hamilton, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I think a good place to start is you are clearly very interested in drugs, but also in a way that departs from how society tends to view them. How did you end up so interested in this topic and in that way?
I think that I grew up at a time when a lot of the vestiges of the golden age of prohibition were still very much present in the media and in the classroom. So, I went through DARE. I was exposed to a lot of kind of the most ridiculous propaganda to have emerged in the 20th century. I saw all of the absurd journalism that was being produced in the 90s and is still produced to this day. And I think that anyone that went through that had a certain perspective, almost a privileged perspective on the way things work and how much misrepresentation appears and how much manipulation is part of the way drugs are discussed in American culture. And once you take a step outside of that indoctrination, you realize that there's a lot more going on. There's a really rich history. And I think that, that was the case for a lot of people, especially with cannabis, but with psychedelics as well, and even with stimulants, you begin to realize that there's a basic desire to help people, to prevent people from hurting themselves with drugs. And out of a misguided but positive aim of helping people, all of this misinformation is spread. And so you start to think, okay, well, maybe the best tactic would be to actually be as honest as possible. And what might that achieve? And that's sort of the goal that I've had, is to try to not swing the pendulum too far in one direction or the other in terms of scaring people or trying to convince people that psychoactive drugs are a cure for all of society's ills, but to stay somewhere in the middle, so that people can trust what you're saying.
What was your initial point of contact with a more accurate view on drugs? Was it through personal experience you began to realize that what you were hearing was not true, or did you get into the science and see that what the science was saying was different from what, say, a DARE teacher would tell you?
I had a very unusual childhood, and I grew up in Cambridge. A lot of my parents' friends were intellectuals, and I remember as a very young child, there was this a psychiatrist at Harvard named John Mack, who is sort of the foremost expert on alien abduction phenomenon. I don't know if you're familiar with him. Do you know about this guy?
No, I'm not.
He's a really interesting person, and he wrote a great book called Abduction in the 90s that sort of contextualized alien abduction phenomena in the same realm as religious experience and shamanic transformations, and kind of positioned it as part of this.
Demons be gone!
Be gone, demons.
Be gone!
Leave this studio!